Hello and welcome to the 909 podcast on this Best of February special edition. Every month, myself and a guest look back at the month in music, pick out some. Lately, we've been doing a lot more albums, and that's just kind of the vibe of what's been happening. Certainly in my listening, I've been focusing more on albums. I was saying this last month as well. So I have 5 albums to discuss, 5 albums that I can recommend to people. Today I published a list of I think 15 or 16 albums from February, which I didn't think I had that many that I enjoyed, but it's all there on 909.com. But I will share my choices, but also I am joined by Mia Tobin Power. How are you, Mia?
I'm good. Thanks so much for having me.
Nice to have you. You are a pop culture writer from Cork. You have a Substack called Streets and Sodium Lights, and you got in touch with me about writing a gig review originally, and I think I'd seen your stuff around, so I thought it might be nice to get you on to chat to you about what's going on in Cork. I have to say, ever since Mike McGrath, Brian stopped working with me, I feel a bit like disconnected from Cork and what's been happening there. So you're here to tell us what's been happening.
Yeah, I mean, if there's one thing I have a lot of thoughts on, it's the Cork music scene. So I'm really excited that we had some really great releases in February that I'm going to get to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll get to some new music that came out of Cork in the past month. I'm going to start with an album from David DeBarra, who is a Dublin singer-songwriter. Now, before I was sent this album by a guy called James Strain, who is Auxiliary Phoenix. He makes this kind of like jazzy, funk, kind of prog music, and this album, which is called Rest in Peace, Brian Wilson by David DeBarra, is the Dublin singer-songwriter David DeBarra's second album. And it really stopped me in my tracks. And I think it's unlike anything I've really heard for a long time. On the surface, what it sounds like is Ian Lynch from Lankum playing with kind of a almost boogie-woogie lounge pop band. And it's really, it's something interesting. It's something kind of very unique. It's got its kind of own style. Barra's vocals are very interesting and different. They're very heart on sleeve. There's talk about, having OCD. And I'll talk about the song specifically, but I want to kind of give you a flavor of what this sounds like. So first song from Rest in Peace, Brian Wilson. The only thing that turned me off this album was the artwork, which is in the grand tradition of like recent dry cleaning records where they have something kind of human and vaguely disgusting on the cover. This one has a foot which features one toenail that has fallen off, and I have to say, it doesn't help when you're like, there's no way this is going to be a good album, is there? It is. This record is a lovely, lovely record. But what we're going to do is play a bit of a song called David Beckham, which is the second track from the record.
If I scored goals for England, they'd be falling over themselves. They'd be racking their brains trying to get me back in the game. Oh no, on the stretching rack until my voice is back. I'm holding it in like a closeted spouse in the 80s. I'm holding it in just like Elton John in the 80s. I'm holding it in like my peers won't, 'cause I am nervous, my nervous system is waiting, but I can't to hit me. Oh, sometimes I feel.
So this record has a bit of everything going on. It's got this kind of lounge pop kind of, I described it as weirdo lounge pop music. It sounds like, as I said, sounds a bit like, he very much sounds like Ian Lynch from Lankum. Weirdo lounge pop music backed by a band like a Lazarus Soul is kind of what it sounds like to me. There's a big cast of musicians on this, including members of Stomptown Brass and Phil Christie of the Bonk on piano and organ as well. As I said, co-produced with James Strain from Auxiliary Phoenix, and dedicated to the titular Beach Boy as well. There's a song on the record called Queen of Brian Wilson, sung in Irish, and there's a lot of his friends and family appear on it, and it's a very eclectic selection of songs. There's kind of like that rolling piano rock kind of music, and a bit like Elton John there. You heard of David Beckham. There's a lovely acoustic ballad about having OCD, but also kind of inspired by a day off work and living your best self. That song is called Nina Knows the Script. I'll play a bit of it now.
On Ash Wednesday I woke up before the sun, threw on my gear and went out for a run. I was feeling all brand new, and before I knew, I was jumping into the sea. This is me from now, it's who I wanna be. Went into town, bought myself some new gear. I met a pal I hadn't seen in about a year. He gave me the scoop over chicken noodle soup, and I told him the score and made my way to work and more. This is me from now, it's who I'm living for.
There's a very like confessional feel to this record, very direct feel to it. You really get a sense of like a real human person living their life and writing songs about their daily existence. You can feel the like love and support he has from like friends and family. There's a song about mislaying a passport and missing a holiday called Permanent Vacation. There's crying at kids film, Spy Kids 3, I think is mentioned at one point. And being thankful for like the people that are around you and appreciative of even co-workers and things like that. And like I said, there your days off, feeling your best self and struggling with, different various things. Here's another bit of a song from, because it's quite a varied record, but it does have that kind of very distinct baritone that David DeBarra has. A song called I Love My Bed.
Know what they need to do. Does anyone need to do anything? I lay my head flat on the pillow. I drift off to tune. Sometimes have scary dreams. Sometimes have sex. Sometimes just touch myself. I change my sheets. Never let them fester too long unless I'm sick or depressed. I hate waking up for work. It's not like I'm lazy, I just hate going to work. I love running and dancing and swimming in the sea. I'm working on my music or anything that actually means something to me. I don't have kids.
I don't know, I find it very charming, very arresting in terms of the directness of this music. It's full of personal warmth and heart as well. And yeah, the album is David DeBarra, rest in peace, Brian Wilson. Anyone listen to this, he's in Dublin. He's listening to this before the 16th of March. He's playing in Arthur's in Dublin on Paddy's Eve as well. So that's David DeBarra. Rest in peace, Brian Wilson. And Mia, what is your first choice? You mentioned Cork music, so let's start with a big Cork album release.
Yeah, so my first choice is Masquerade by Cardinals. It's the debut album by the Cork indie rock alternative 5-piece Cardinals, and I was really impressed with it. I think it's such a promising and confident debut.
Yeah, so tell me a bit about this band, because I've been keeping an eye on them. I have to say, my first impressions was that I wasn't really sure what I thought, and I think the album, for me, does kind of cement their appeal a bit more. But I thought it was so interesting, because they were basically getting huge attention from publications like Stereo Gum. It just seemed like it was happening elsewhere. What was your impression in Cork? Was there a following there?
Yeah, so they've been around for a few years now, and they do have quite a following in Cork. I only got into them relatively recently because I think, like you, I didn't really know what to make of them at first. They released their debut EP, I think maybe 2 years ago now at this stage. And I think on that EP, you can kind of hear them trying to figure out who they are and their kind of musical identity. And it's not really similar at all to the album. They've really defined their sound now. I think the songs that stand out for me on that EP anyway would be Roseland, definitely, and If I Could Make You Care, I think are the two strongest songs on that EP, and you definitely hear that that's what they're taking now into this album. That's kind of the closest to where their sound has gone now, but they've definitely developed their sound a lot in the last year. And like I said, I think they've gained a lot of confidence in themselves, and I think it's quite an ambitious record too.
Yeah, so let's have a listen to I Like You.
Don't change your hair for me if you still care for me. Don't say you'll miss me when I'm gone. I won't write the words past the margin when I sit down to write your whole song. Don't make the bed for me. That's what she said to me. You know I won't have to when I'm gone. And suddenly she starts crying. Says I'm not sure where it all went
So, Mia, what are the what's the vibe with the band now? The album's been out. It very much reminds me of when they bring out the accordion. It reminds me of early REM.
Yeah.
Here on it for sure. So yeah, what they're playing this week, are they? What's their live schedule?
Yeah, so they're starting their headline tour now. I think they're starting it in Belfast at the end of this week, and they're playing the Savoy, the recently reopened Savoy in Cork on Friday. And
Have you been in
from
yet?
there. No, I haven't. I think it only opened like Valentine's weekend, so this Friday is going to be my first time going.
Okay,
Really
very
excited.
Nice. Great.
Yeah, so they're going to be very busy. I think a lot of their tour is sold out. They're going around the UK and Europe from there, and I think America in May. So I think a lot of it is sold out at the moment, but I'm really excited because I've only seen them live once before, but I thought they're really special live performers, and that accordion, it's just so distinctive, and you can kind of hear it's quite a versatile instrument throughout the album, and that really comes through in their live performances as well. So I'm really looking forward to seeing them now on Friday.
Yeah, so Thursday Belfast, Friday Cork, and Saturday in Dublin Workman's, and then all the way around the UK throughout March, then Europe after that towards late March, and then US tour all the way up to next time they're definitely back in Ireland is All Together Now in the summer, so we can listen to them. So that's massive. Let's hear another track actually about She Makes Me Real.
Start to see that it takes a little time and a little honesty. I don't think you'll last a week. I was moving on 'cause it hurts beyond belief. Yeah, it hurts beyond belief. Yeah, it hurts beyond belief. Yeah, it hurts beyond.
Something I really like about this album is that there's so much kind of like almost uncontrollable emotion that they're conveying in the songs. And there's songs like I Like You, where you've got that very kind of simple language of the lyrics that I think is then kind of offset by the intensity of the music trying to convey that emotion. I think that I really liked hearing that across the album. I thought they did a really good job of trying to convey that idea.
Yeah. Really interesting band. I think I need to see them live because
I think so.
I think that's where I'm going to get the right impression of what they're like. So hopefully that will come at some point. Okay, so my next album choice is a band I've been around for a long time, since 1994, and not a band I was really overly familiar with. I think maybe the name They're called Archive, doesn't help. They're from South London originally. So they started out in 1994, and they've had loads of records over the years. They've actually even had an Irish singer for a number of years, but from the year 2000 to 2004? No, 2000 to 2004, yes. Craig Walker from an Irish band called Power of Dreams, Dublin-based rock band who were active in the late 80s, early 90s. He joined this band, and it's kind of a collective. I guess they started around the time of like kind of trip hop, when trip hop was popular, so they fell into that a little bit. I mean, I can't say I'm hugely familiar with them. Maybe that's to my shame, but they were kind of kicking back up, doing new stuff. And when I realized they had a new album, I was like, it's called Glass Minds, came out last week. And I was just really interested in what was happening. I heard the lead single, City Walls. I do these listening parties every month in the Big Romance in Dublin. Last month we did Massive Attack Mezzanine. So I was listening to a lot of trip hop and that kind of adjacent stuff. Portishead. We did Portishead last year. So I kind of hear a lot of comparisons to that kind of music. It's very much like, especially maybe the latter, this track now I'm going to play from the record is called Patterns. Kind of reminds me of like the latter era kind of Massive Attack.
Nothing to see. There's nothing to see. Patterns of sand, tracing the lines in my head, tracing the lines in my head, and I'm all in here, and you're all out there.
Particular song is 8.5 minutes long, so it's called Patterns. So yeah, they are, I mean, there's founding members Darius Keeler and Danny Griffiths, but they also bring in the vocals of Lisa Mottram, who shares the vocals on the album with Pollard Berrier and Dave Penn. So there's variation in this. It's very like, there's touches of electronic stuff, trip hop, avant-garde, post-rock, shoegazy kind of feel to it as well here and there. I'm only going to play 2 tracks, but you kind of get an impression of what kind of band they are as opposed to the full gamut of what they sound like. This is the title track, actually. I think it's track 2 on the record, Glass Mind.
White noise blasting through me, just like a bench.
Well, I think it's always worth, spotlighting some music from bands and artists that have been around for so long, because it is such a hard industry to stay active and interested and creatively savored and to be really want to make music, and it's harder, especially when you've been around for that long, to do it, especially when you're in a massive band. Like, even comparing Archive to someone like Massive Attack, they're huge, like touring band often. So Archive aren't really like that. So yeah, it's interesting when a band like that kind of revisit, come back again, and they've been, I mean, this is their 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like 14th album or something like that. So they've been around for a long time. So yeah, the band is Archive. The album is Glass Minds. Now I'm going back to Cork for you, Mia, is a track from a Cork band. Tell us about Maicín.
So I might have been slow on the uptake with Cardinals, but I definitely was with Maicín. I got on the ground floor with them. They've been going for maybe 2 or 3 years now, and they've been a real favourite of mine in the Cork music scene. I've always thought that they had so much potential, and I think we're kind of seeing them fulfill their potential now. So this is their latest single, Kick in the Habit, and it was produced like all of their songs have been produced so far by Ollie Deacon, who most recently produced Euro Country by CMAT. And I really like this one. I think it's a really great introduction to Maicín and their kind of indie pop sensibilities, but also the kind of themes that they're interested in.
Yeah, what would you say those themes are?
So what I find across all their whole catalog so far, however many songs they released so far, is definitely a kind of anti-capitalist theme. It's explicit in some of the songs, but then you have songs like Kicking the Habit where it's more kind of implied, and you've got this kind of existential loneliness that I think they're exploring in this song that comes with kind of like how it feels to live in a capitalist society rather than kind of railing against the mundanity of the workplace like they might in other songs.
Right. Okay. Well, let's have a listen to Kicking the Habit then.
Yourself. I've got a habit of falling in love and letting it fade. Hell, you said it yourself. I've got a habit of falling in love and letting it fade. A habit of falling in love and letting it fade away. Kicking the habit and leaving the parochial house. Needless to say, putting words in my mouth and I'm spitting them out. You said it yourself. I've got a habit of falling in love and letting it fade. Hell, you said it yourself. I've got a habit of falling in love and letting it fade. A habit of falling in love and letting it fade.
It's almost folky. It's got a bit of I don't know. It's kind of an old-fashioned sound almost, and interesting.
Yeah. I interviewed Maicín, I think about a year ago now for my Substack, and they were telling me that a really big influence on them is Paul McCartney's album Ram, and they pointed to Kicking the Habit in particular as a song that album has influenced, and I definitely hear that on the song, like not just in the piano, but kind of in that. I think that's kind of what vocalist Matt Hurley is kind of aiming for. It's obviously a much more restrained kind of vocal than Paul McCartney is used to, especially on that album. But I definitely hear that, and I really like that, you know, they're kind of taking that inspiration and making it their own. This is definitely one of their more kind of melancholy songs. A lot of them are more kind of influenced by indie rock, like you were saying. This is definitely a much more restrained one, but I really like how they've kind of centered the piano on this one and added those strings to kind of give it a fuller texture and to add that to that kind of melancholy aspect to it.
Yeah, they say, imagine the love child of Neutral Milk Hotel and Prefab Sprout. Now get your head out of the gutter and imagine Maicín. Yeah, and are they playing as well with Cardinals this week?
They aren't. Pebble Dash, another Cork band who I'd really recommend, are. But Maicín are going on their own tour around Ireland this month. I think both their Cork dates are sold out, but there might still be tickets for their Dublin date. And they supported Madra Salach on a few Irish dates already, and they're supporting them in a few dates in England as well.
Very good. Maicín, their Bandcamp actually says, imagine the love child of Billy Bragg and Jarvis Cocker. So they've changed it since then. But yeah, interesting. Apparently they supported Amble in their UK tour. It doesn't seem like...
Yeah, they did, yeah.
I wonder how they got on with that one.
Yeah, they told me that it was definitely very strange for them. They do have that folk influence, so I can kind of see the connection, but I would imagine they are a bit rockier than maybe the Amble audience were prepared for.
Okay, very good. Okay, that's Maicín, and yeah, check him out. My next album is a new release from Puma Blue, who is the Atlanta-based South London-born artist Jacob Allen. Now, last year, Jacob Allen had an album out called Antichamber. So that was one of two records that came out last year from Puma Blue, and this was my actual introduction to Puma Blue. I think so. I liked Antichamber. I thought it was really cool, really interesting album. It was very much like an acoustic record, and it was very different to what I understood what the music of Puma Blue was like. And then he released this album last month. So this is kind of what Puma Blue really sounds like. It's much more experimentally minded than what I really like. I really like the acoustic songwriting on Antichamber. It was really lovely, but there's so many different types of vibes on this Croak's Dream. So let's play a bit of Desire, which is I think it's the first track.
Could live behind everything we want. Won't you leave? Put me in some way that feels so wrong. So fine. Can't be mine. Set a nice spot. Come play with me. Could put you fast asleep. On my knees, I beg please, give me what you want. You're in need, I can't resist that dawn. Yeah, so fine.
So yeah, the album cover is this kind of nocturnal blue and black kind of feel to it, and that is, to me, what if you had synesthesia, that was kind of the vibe of this music. Very much like there's a bit of the trip hop buzz in there again, Portishead blues, Ache Soul, some Radiohead kind of style songwriting on one of the tracks, some John Carpenter horror cinematics. I'll briefly play these two tracks here because it gives you a bit more of the flavour of the record. This is Mr. Lost.
Machines building machines. He takes the opportunity to write a poem in movements. Slips onto the tube, but flirtation takes him off again to chase a different taste. Drive himself to waste.
Yeah, more of a spoken word thing there. And this is a song called Hush from the record as well.
Sweet baby, don't you cry. No need to bleed so heavy from those eyes. Such torment, such a waste. Oh, my loves are...
Yeah, that's that Portishead influence for sure there, you can hear. The album was recorded in Peter Gabriel's Real World Studios. They kind of made some kind of loops and segments of the songs and brought them to the band to improvise over, and then they made further loops. So they were kind of how the songs were drawn up. Puma Blue, Jacob Allen says, a Croak dream is a prophetic dream where you see a vision of how you might die. Half the songs in this record allude to how you might decide to live act if you somehow knew your awaiting fate, being daring, romantic, saying what you really mean. So that is Puma Blue and a Croak's Dream. All right, it's time to talk about the 8th album from Mitski. Mia, you must be, if you're picking a Mitski, you must be a long time Mitski fan, is that right?
Yeah, I would say so. Maybe not as long time as a lot of other people. I think I mostly, well, actually, to be fair, I think like a lot of people, I really got into her during the pandemic. I would say I've properly been a fan of her since then, and I really liked her 2022 album Laurel Hell. I wasn't as big a fan of her most recent album, that was from 2023, The Land is Inhospitable and So Are We, because it was quite a different direction to her previous albums. It was a lot kind of mellower. It was more kind of this Americana, kind of country rock kind of sound to it, which I wasn't as big a fan of. So I was a bit hesitant when I heard that this album was coming out, but it really surprised me because there's still some of that kind of folk Americana influence in it, but it is definitely kind of going back to her rock roots as well, I would say.
It does have the kind of ensemble arrangements with the band and the land in it as well. So is it more that it's back more of a rocky kind of feel.
Yeah, I would say so. It really reminded me of her album Be the Cowboy, which I think is probably still her most popular, most beloved album. It's definitely my favorite.
Yeah.
There's a few songs that reminded me of that. Even the lead single, Where's My Phone, you can kind of hear that rocky, even kind of glitchy sound on it. But I think what most appeals to me about this album is the thematic content and kind of what she's going for. So it's a concept album, and she said that it's about a reclusive woman in an unkept house. So this kind of haunted house narrative is really interesting. And I think you can understand why Mitski, of all people, would want to do a concept album, considering that she's had such a fraught relationship with her fan base and kind of
Yeah.
them wanting to know a lot about her personal life. So I can see why she would want to go this direction. But I think she's taken a really interesting approach to the concept album idea. Because there's still some quite personal themes in there, even though you've got this kind of... She said that the music video for Where's My Phone was influenced by the Shirley Jackson novel We've Always Lived in the Castle. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, I hear that novel's influence all over this album, because it's got like this theme of isolation, but also identity. And you've got this protagonist that really feels like there's this darkness inside her that nobody can understand. And I hear that in the lyrics of nearly every song on this Mitski album. It's really interesting.
Okay, well, there's very few people like Mitski who embody those kind of the themes when she really wants to. Let's have a listen to Where's My Phone.
A ditch on my block, she said. I just want my mind to be a clear glass with nothing in my head. I keep thinking surely somebody will save me. At every turn I learn that no one will. I just want my mind to be a clear glass with nothing instead. Oh, where did I leave? Where'd I go? Where'd I go? Where did it go? Where's my phone? Where's my phone?
That is the album's lead single, right? Is there any another song on the record that working for you a lot?
I really like that White Cat as well. You know, like I was talking about, that kind of idea of like, she's got these themes that are fitting the idea of the concept album, but also you get this kind of sense that they might be personal to her as well. And that song is really about kind of pushing back against people's expectations of you and trying not to behave how they might want you to. But I also really love how it's quite a kind of raw, frenzied vocal performance from Mitski on that song, which I really enjoy.
All right, let's have a listen to That White Cat.
Gotta go to work to pay for that cat's house, for the red corseted wasp who lives in the roof, for the family of possums, for the bugs who drink my blood, and the birds who eat those bugs, so that white cat can kill the birds. What do you hold on to? Hey! Bugs.
So Mitzi's gone full whatever happened to Mary Jane, staying in the house. Funny you should mention like the pandemic and all, very much like stay in your gaff, don't
Yeah.
leave. Yeah, okay. But she has done some serious like world tours and things over the last few years. Has she got gigs lined up for this?
I haven't heard of anything. I would imagine if such a thing was announced, you and I would have heard about it.
Yeah, there's a few New York dates I can see here, but very little else currently announced. Anyway, album is only out, so she's doing extensive American ones. Yeah, okay. There's a lot here, actually. Yeah, I can see a lot. There's a lot of European ones in May, and then no Irish date. But didn't she do the Three Arena recently?
Yeah, she did. For her last album, she did the 3 Arena. Yeah, I was there.
How was it? Because like I kind of get the impression, like you were mentioning, like there's an intensity to the fandom now.
That is very much the case. I mean, I had like young teenagers next to me who were screaming the entire time. But it was quite an interesting show because, you know, like she set some very firm boundaries about her live shows. So it was all seated, but the vibe was quite different. She kind of changed the arrangements of all her previous songs to fit the sound of the new album, which wasn't really what I wanted. It was an interesting experiment for sure, but maybe not what I would have liked because, you know, I definitely prefer that kind of rockier side to Mitski. But, you know, if it was what she wanted, good for her. It was certainly an interesting experience.
For sure. Okay. Well, that's Mitski. The new album is Nothing's About to Happen to Me. We're going to come back to an Irish artist now for my next choice. It is an artist called Nashpaints, who is Finn Carragher MacDonald. And you may have heard him playing on Maria Somerville's album Luster last year. He also plays drums in a band called Princess. He releases tunes as FC Music sometimes as well, kind of electronic stuff on the Where the Time Goes label. And in February just very quietly put out this full-length album on the label Mirror World, which is home to artists like Henry Ernest and Famous Tex. So there's very much like a shoegazy, dream poppy vibe going on here. The album's called Everyone Good is called Molly. And yeah, let's play one of these tracks. So this is the second song on the record on the album. It's called 23. Yeah, very dreamy, ambient, deep pop music is the vibe here. Nashpaints is reminding me a lot of the most recent, very long player from Cindy Lee, Diamond Jubilee. There's some of that vibe there previously, and before he was problematic. Ariel Pink as well, very much like the lo-fi shoegaze stuff, ambient pop. It's got a very lovely soft landing to it. It's an easy listen. It kind of envelops you in a really lovely way. As I said, I think again, I like who are we talking about there? With Cardinals as well, a lot of the accolades for Nashpaints records just come from like record shops in the UK and has a good distribution network through Rush Hour. So seeing it a lot on like probably like cool UK record shops, maybe saw it on Boomcat and places like that. Places where you wouldn't really expect necessarily an Irish artist to appear first. But that was the same with Maria Somerville as well. So I think there's some of that there as well. Obviously, Maria Somerville's on 4AD, very different. This is a self-release, independent, small label. Here is a bit of a song from it called Stretching as well. So anyone who was enamored with the Cindy Lee records, spindly guitar stuff that was on that, your ears into. If you haven't before, it is a great record. And this one is is lovely as well. It's called Nashpaints. The art is called Nashpaints. Album is called Everyone Good is called Molly. Now, have you seen the Charlie XCX films? Any of the films, Mia?
No, I haven't.
Okay, interesting. I haven't either. But I was hoping we've heard bad things from some of our discords to our Patreon membership. The people who gather and chat about music on that through the membership have told me that Wuthering Heights is a crock of rubbish.
I haven't seen it, but I have had very long conversations about it with my friends who have seen it. So I feel like at this stage I have seen it.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, obviously it's a film that's been made over and over again. So you kind of get the vibe of it. I feel like we can understand it's horny romance movie, but obviously the soundtrack for it is by Charli XCX, and very much in a way I mentioned the phrase soft landing. How do you follow up Brat in terms of music? Well, Charli decided she would completely score soundtrack the Emerald Fennell film Wuthering Heights, and obviously because you haven't seen the film, you've picked this. The Wuthering Heights soundtrack by Charli, you must feel like it stands alone.
I think so. I didn't really expect to like this album as much as I do. I do think that it is definitely not as distinctive as Brat. Like a lot of the songs kind of blur together, but I think that it's probably an asset for a soundtrack. You know, you want to kind of create this overall sound and picture, and I think Charli has definitely achieved that with this album. I really like her use of kind of chamber pop to evoke that real gothic romance idea. It's another haunted house album, as we saw with Mitski. Yeah. And I just love how she's using these really dramatic strings all throughout the album. And she's got these kind of often haunting vocals to convey these ideas about kind of doomed love and this family tragedy that the story is about.
Yeah, so it's obviously not as it's not a pure electropop banger like Brat was. And, you couldn't do that. We needed a break from that at this point. I was so happy for her at the time, but I don't think anyone saw how massive Brat was going to be. And then there's I see so much backlash about it. I see so much backlash about it. Still, even I was like, oh God, Brat is over, guys. Please stop this. It's been too long, But this is a way of her kind of getting something out that has much lower stakes. Now,
yeah, definitely.
This year she's doing loads of films, and I haven't seen The Moment, her own one. The film, I heard mixed things about that. I think it's apparently an interesting idea at the very least. So yeah, I'll be interested in seeing it. But okay, so obviously the first track that came out is the one with John Cale, the Welsh artist, formerly with the Velvet Underground and an experimental artist in his own right.
Am I living in another world? Another world I created? For what? If it's beauty, do you see beauty? If there's beauty, say it's enough. I think I'm gonna die in this house.
Another track you picked is Seeing Things.
You're a ghost now, maybe a reflection. In fact, I'm certain I just saw you in a window. I was just browsing when I met your eye. Couldn't believe it, so I reached my fingers out to touch your face. And the pain and time around to speak and say your name. You've vanished into thin air. I think I'm seeing things that are not there. I think I'm seeing things. I think I'm seeing shadows of your hair. I think I'm seeing things. I think I'm seeing things. I think I'm seeing things. Keep stepping through the glass.
I don't know if she's ever really done that before, has she, on any of her records? So that's interesting as well. So yeah, as I said, I think it's really good for what it is. I think it's a solid Charli release, not something that is going to be or intended to be like this zeitgeist grabbing moment, but certainly as a companion to a film, Really, really good. So yeah, that is Charli XCX and the Wuthering Heights soundtrack. My next one is an artist who's went away for a long time and came back with a very vital record. So Jill Scott is a singer who was really active in the early 2000s, neo soul artist who released her first record in 2000 and then had a few records after that. Who is Jill Scott? Beautifully Human, The Real Thing. So this record here is her sixth in total, so her sixth in 26 years. People might know that, she was friends with D'Angelo and originally wrote the hook for the song The Roots, the Roots song You Got Me, which was sung by Erykah Badu. So she kind of disappeared for a long time and then came back with a record in 2015, and then here we are again 11 years later. I think this is really like a really solid album. I was so into it when it first dropped. Maybe softened on it a bit, but I do think it's really, again, what I was saying about artists who come back and revisit. Obviously, D'Angelo, R.I.P., passed away not too long ago, and it's just nice to hear artists who are doing those things in a vital manner with an energy that we shouldn't take for granted. A lot of times you wait for somebody like Lauryn Hill to make a new record and it doesn't happen. And here we have somebody who's of that vein coming back and, has this kind of, there's all sorts of stuff happening on here. Was new neo soul stuff. There's kind of tracks that remind me of Outkast. There's like kind of housey music. There's blues, jazz. And there's also features, samples of clips, and there's production by Omas Keith, the producer, a house producer. We got Tierra Whack on it, Absol, JID, and Too Short. So it's just nice to hear somebody who's been around a long, long time come back and bring in the new guard as well and do something really interesting. Probably single best track on this record is Northside with Tierra Whack. So let's have a listen.
These bars are nasty while I'm spitting them out. And once I tell you my price, won't take no different amount. Okay, I think I finally figured it out. I am the greatest, always in the latest, like Lauren. So pardon my arson. I'm bargaining with peasants, pleasant surprise. Rapping better than you guys. Despise me, you should let me be your guide. I'm high, loaded like potatoes, so poppy like mayo on a hoagie. You imposter rigatoni. The top is lonely, but I never feel alone. After all this time, they done made so many clones, the almighty. I'm winning cause God likes me, most likely. Surviving with the shiesty, turn me to a maximum. White men, I'm stacking them. Living like it's gold in me and shit'll go platinum. Pray and obey, to the WHEK, I'm here to stay.
No Billy all day. There's a consequence for being this dope. I let them dallies get out of what they want. Some sit jealous and talk shit. Ain't got a pot to pick. They be pissed, ain't love like this. And that's so true. Billy Jilly is lethal. The only boxes may be trying to put a queen in two. I can't be rich and cold. I can't be fly. Love is kind and its sword is cauterizing. We're not merely memorizing. Strategically self-defining. Ain't not near coincidence nowhere. We have opened our eyes and no X or Z guises. We are together, birds and feather, risen and rising, thriving, finding the most beauty, the most hypnotizing, the most mesmerizing. Energy. Easy, 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 easy,
All right, that's Jill Scott, to whom this may concern. So we have one more choice left for Mia. It's your choice. I don't know anything about this band, but I'm going to read out some of the titles on this record.
Yeah.
There are songs on this album called Jamie XX, NTS, Ozempic, Celebrity Weight Loss, Anxiety Blues, Birkenstocks, and New Irish Boyfriend. So who is this band and what is this album?
This is Vegas Water Taxi with long-time caller, first-time listener. I just kind of stumbled across this album at the start of February, and it's got this kind of spring and summer vibe to it that I really needed at that point in time when the weather was so miserable. It's this kind of alt country rock album. There's a little bit of Midwest emo to it as well, I would say. I've never come across this band before, but it kind of really drew me in. It's a very accessible album, and you're just naming out all those song titles there. I really like how kind of the moment these lyrics are and how they kind of take aim at kind of internet culture in a way that's kind of tricky. It's a tricky balance because you don't want the songs to become irrelevant by the time the album comes out. And it can also be very annoying to kind of be criticizing the internet and these kind of viral moments in this way. But I think that Vegas Water Taxi are very clever in the targets that they choose. Like you were just naming, the title track is called Brat Summer as well. I think that's probably my favorite song on there.
Yeah.
I think that's the most kind of successful synthesis of that kind of alt country music and those kind of offbeat lyrics.
Okay. Let's have a listen to Brat Summer. So I can't believe we're going back to Brat Summer. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Joey and the boys cutting through the noise. Fill my pockets with stones and drown me in liquid death. The cops, they broke the door of my Hummer, asked me about my long bright summer, but I couldn't remember a thing I'd said in my cozy year all under death. The cops, they broke the door of my Hummer.
What else do you like on this record?
I like the second track, Chateau Photo, as well. That's kind of criticizing kind of young professionals in London while it's still very much within that scene, which I think is a good bit of fun, and it's got a kind of nostalgic feel to it that I like.
Finally over. She left me for a guy who's working in PR. He's putting out a press release that I'm crying in a bar. It's the shadow photo. And I thought you should know. It's the shadow photo. And I thought you should know. All my friends, they play the perfect host. I guess they like to believe they're in the White Lotus. She left me for a guy.
Bit of MG Linderman vibes as well here, I think.
Definitely.
That slide guitar.
There's even, I think, a bit of Songs Ohio in some of the other songs as well.
Yeah, okay. So how you just came across this one? This is their second album. I haven't obviously heard it.
Yeah, I just stumbled across it when I was looking at new releases.
Great. I love when that happens. The song New Irish Boyfriend, the lyrics start with, well, she's hard launching, new Irish boyfriend, kneecap cousin, Guinness flowing no end. Yeah. Yeah. Full on with the pop culture reference, and we heard White Lotus there mentioned as well. So, all right, that's lovely. That's some loads of great stuff that was released in February. Loads of interesting things. Now, Mia, before we go, we usually ask the guests about some what's consuming you, what TV or films or podcasts or books you are interested in, any live gigs you've seen recently you want to shout out. Let's start with screen stuff. For myself, absolutely. I just finished it last night. Industry season 4.
Me too.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I actually dropped off it at the end of season 2, I think, and I didn't watch. I caught up with season 3 when it was on. I think the jargon got to me after so long because it became so dense. I was like, "What the fuck is happening in this show?" I was like, and then my partner come in and she's like, "What the fuck are you watching?" I was like, "I don't know what's happening." You're watching with subtitles on. You're like,
Yeah.
but it's become, I don't know, there's a rhythm to it. There's something to it that you just kind of really get obsessed with, and you're like, they're really interesting, disgusting characters, of course, and the morality of it all, the where it goes in season 4 is very much like, you know, you kind of feel like they finished, there was an arc finished, and then You're like, where are they going to go with this show? All of the people that were in it have kind of left, other than a few of the main people left in it. So, did you enjoy season 4? I thought it was brilliant.
I loved season 4. I thought that season 3 was just an absolute perfect season of TV. I couldn't love it more. And season 4 I thought didn't really reach those highs, but it's still just way more ambitious and way more interesting than any other show on TV. And I just love how it's got this really kind of nuanced exploration of wealth and power and all these different kinds of wealth and power. And you see it with every character and how they've kind of widened the aperture of the show in this season. You wonder where, after that finale, you're kind of wondering where they might go in the next and final season as well. I think it's going to be really interesting to see.
Yeah, and away from the actual story, like, I mean, the music, the needle drops in it are so brilliant. Even just the choices, obviously the Nathan McKay score is really evocative. It has that kind of Tangerine Dream, really bright, warm electronics thing going on, very arpeggio driven. It's really gorgeous already, but then some of the choices, like in the first episode of the new season, there was like True Fate by New Order, but it was like the Morning Sun extended remixes. So just slightly different again. It was like really well chosen kind of music on it. Most recently we heard, I think it was the second last episode, there was Boy by the Book of Love. There was When in Rome, The Promise. We had 80s, a lot of 80s kind of music in it as well. But just when they do, even like, it's not really a spoiler, but they use a Turnstile song in the last episode. I was like, where'd that come from?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have expected it. But yeah, I really think it's a brilliant, brilliant show. And superior music choices as well.
Definitely. I really fell in love with Both Sides Now by Judy Collins. Well, Joni Mitchell, but the Judy Collins version, the way they used it in episode 6 of the show, I thought was really, really clever, really spectacular. And I really fell in love with that song. You know how sometimes you just kind of, the way songs are used in films or TV shows, they can really click with you in a different way.
Yeah, absolutely. And Geese was in it as well. You know, the playlist of music in that show is absolutely unreal. So I also look forward to that when it comes back. Same actually with a film I watched. Finally got around to seeing Marty Supreme. I love the score from One O Tricks Point Never on, and the 80s buzz on it. Obviously, there's quite big songs on it, but you know, it's like that kind of thing when you've heard these songs forever and ever, and then all of a sudden Everybody Wants to Rule the World comes on. You're like, yeah, I've heard this song 1,000 times, but hit different when it was with this
Definitely.
film. So I really enjoyed that. I've always enjoyed, like, I loved, Uncut Gems at the time, and the
too.
stress of it. Now, I've never gone back near it again, but this had a similar, less vibe maybe, but less intense vibe, but similarly, I really enjoyed that film. And then on the more gentle end of stuff, a couple of years ago, before we had our son, we spent a lot of time watching a very gentle TV show called The Detectorists, Mackenzie Crook's TV show, and he has a new one. It's called Small Profits, and it's on BBC. So a little bit more of a kind of a fantasy sci-fi element to it, but very much like a man who lives in a house who's kind of reckoning with his past. It's very sweet. It's very well done. It's funny. A really lovely watch. So that's Small Profits. What about yourself? Anything else?
Just this past weekend, I went to see The Testament of Anne Lee in the cinema, this new film by Mona Fastfold. And she co-wrote The Brutalist with her husband a few years ago. And this is her new film. It's about the Shaker movement in America, which I'd never heard of, and the woman at the center of it. It takes place in the 1700s. It's just the most unbelievable story, and the visuals were stunning. But what kind of grabbed me most was that it's a musical as well. It's got the most unbelievable songs. I mean, Daniel Blumberg, who did the score for this film, also did the score for The Brutalist, and you definitely hear the similarities, but he's also kind of adapted these traditional religious Shaker hymns for the film as well. And the way they're deployed is just unbelievable. They've been in my head all week since I saw it. So I'd really recommend The Testament of Anne Lee.
Very good. And to bring it back to Cork, there's a band from Cork called the Shaker Hymn.
No way.
Yeah. Keelan Sherlock is in that band anyway.
Cool.
I don't think they're around anymore as in active, but yeah, they certainly they were around for a while. Maybe they're inactive as opposed to gone, but yeah, the Shaker Him. Anything else you have been enjoying lately?
I mean, like a lot of people in Ireland, I went to see Madra Solic in February, and they really blew me away. I mean, they're the most incredible live performers, and the energy. It was the first night of the tour in Cork, Cypress Avenue, and just the energy from both the band and the crowd is unbelievable. It was such a special night.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I mean, they're a fantastic live band. I think if anyone is doubting that the hype is real, you just have to go see that band live and be like, oh yeah,
Completely agree.
I see what's going on here. Yeah, very exciting stuff altogether. Okay, well, that's the best of February. If you like what you hear, you can support Niler 9 on patreon.com/Niler9. And if you want more from Mia, it is streetsandsodiumlights.substack.com. So like as you mentioned earlier on, you do some reviews, some interviews with bands and stuff. You've got West Side Cowboy. We talked about those last month. You have Clifford's live review, New Dad, and yeah. So if you want to know more about Mia, is that where you'd go? As you recommend? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
You enjoy Substack? Everyone seems to be mad for Substack these days.
Yeah, I do. I just think it's a really accessible platform. It's really easy, and it's really easy to find other people on it as well, to kind of grow like the people whose blogs you're reading and find kind of similar blogs to your own. I really like.
Yeah, I think if I was starting out now, I would be doing exactly what you're doing. I'd be writing a Substack as opposed to building my own website. But yeah, I do put some stuff on Substack every now and again, more the longer form stuff when I get around to it. But yeah, you're right. It is. I mean, the network stuff is great for Substack as well. So look, Mia, thanks so much for joining me on the best of the month for the 99 podcast. We appreciate it. And go check Mia out. Okay, thank you all for listening, and we'll be back in the next week or so. I have some live Listen Closely album recordings that I have to share once I get around to editing them. We have the Block Party one from December, most recently as well. So loads to talk about. Last episode was all about the Hoxton Izakaya with Owen O'Canavan, so all the stuff that was happening there in Dublin with noise complaints, yet to be resolved completely, but more to come. And look, it's a busy month. We're into March now. We have some sunshine and general brightness, so I hope you're enjoying it wherever you are. Mia, thanks so much again, and thanks for listening to the 99 podcast.